Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Scorpio. If Scorpio is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay. All right. Let's see what we have going on here. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Right off the bat. It looks exactly like a person riding a bike or a motorcycle, but mostly a bike, I think. That is funny. That stood right out to me. So, it seems like you're on the move. Something. All right, we'll come back to that one there. Okay, let's see. And so, our card tonight is the Queen of Cups. And this has everything to do with removing boundaries between dreams and reality. Base reality, I should say. There are many, many realities. Inner knowledge, intuitive, really dreamy, connected quality. Okay. This light tonight is just kind of has been a little bit silly. We're getting ready for school and all that stuff. And this mom is out of sorts because my daughter is, she has a lot of separation anxiety. And that is like transferred over tonight. Okay, let's see. So we have a person on a bike. I also see we have, it looks like a road with a tree that's kind of blowing. And to me, it looks like kind of, you're looking out the window, you take a picture, and the trees going by are kind of blurred. So I feel like you're kind of really on a trip here. I think that you're really, this is in the physical world probably, but I also feel like this is very much connected to your dream life. And I think the two are mingling quite a bit. Usually when we get the Queen of Cups, that is that real kind of like you've been pulled out of your routine. Maybe something's going on where you're going to visit somebody, you're on vacation, you're doing something out of the ordinary. Something has come up. And so then on top of that, we have this kind of real potent emotional space really flooding over into the dream world, and the dream world kind of flooding over into that physical world as well. So I think that when we get into this space, and of course when we're traveling, we're experiencing different things, strange, out of the norm, open to kind of the the weird shiftiness of the universe. This is a place that we have a lot of potential for spiritual growth. Okay, you are on a hero's quest of some kind. You are at least kind of, on that kind of road trip motif, even if you are not leaving your home. You don't actually have to be on the road. But I do think that, something has changed about your schedule. Okay, maybe you're working a different shift. Maybe you have time off. Maybe you're on vacation. I kind of feel like it's something that's not terrible. With the bike, I feel like it's something kind of like taking your time a bit, pleasant, but it's not like you're going on like a, like some kind of yacht or a speedboat. This is not like super exciting, but I think that this is like a nice, steady, I think of like kind of riding your bike on a beautiful, not too hot, not too cool afternoon, getting a lot of sun, and the trees are dancing around. There's a nice little breeze. You are just kind of taking it all in, okay? Noticing the little things. And we also have a heart right here. And then down here we have the two-headed dog. Okay, so not the traditional, what is its name, Cerberus? I think that has like 4 or 5 heads. I don't know. But I would say that this is definitely kind of the keeper of a portal, the keeper of a passageway, a gatekeeper, not in the pop psychology sense. But this is kind of like, you're coming to a shift in your life, a shift in your psyche, a shift in that spiritual place, in those spiritual realms. And so you're going to be dealing with some, maybe kind of difficult material here. I see the heart here. I also see a little hole next to it, or in the middle of it. Okay. It makes me think that this is something that it's like a kind of a long-standing hurt. I think this is something ancient, even kind of, from your childhood, maybe. Your younger years at least. And I don't think this is necessarily like one singular event, but I think that this is kind of it kind of just feels like a lingering, almost a feeling like drowning in darkness, kind of. I almost feel like this is almost like emotional neglect, maybe. Like when I'm thinking about this, I see like almost like a lot of dark, quiet rooms. Like I feel like you felt like you were left alone a lot to deal with your own feelings. And I wonder if you're maybe going home to visit. I feel like this is kind of the same motif that came up, or similar anyways, visiting family, like maybe 2 months ago, a month ago. But I feel like this is, very much tied to like a mother figure. Maybe a grandmother, maybe a mother, a caretaker. But I feel like this is, because we have this like kind of mixture of like a dreamy place, and kind of really being confronted with this real emotional thing. I wonder if this is like a theme in your dreams. Okay, I feel like there's a lot of times where you feel like you're like wandering by yourself, maybe in the form of like being a child, looking for your mother, looking for your parents, maybe, I feel like there's this deep sense of not having your emotional needs met. Not just like in one situation, but like this was a constant. Now, if this was just, not to diminish how you feel, but if this was because your family maybe worked a lot, they were still very loving people, maybe you were, you know, being raised by multiple people, caretakers, grandparents, your parents worked all the time. I mean, I think this is a common occurrence for a lot of people. But whatever it is, I think that there's a lot of pain here. Okay. And I want to kind of turn this. And I think that's kind of where this dog figure is kind of, it's guarding this doorway that you're kind of going into. Well, unless, look, I said it's not like you're going on a jet ski. Now this one kind of looks like a freaking, like I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Freaking, I don't know. Anyways, like a jet ski or maybe a speedboat. So maybe you are. Maybe I was wrong. I spoke too soon. But I do think that you are... You're really cruising towards this thing. I know that's really cheesy, but I feel like, my goodness, I felt like this was going to a place where it was like, okay, cool, you're like really in this fantastic kind of like 60s, you know, French movie or something. It's just lighthearted. Everything's kind of nice and indulgent, thoughtful. But it seems like there is really this twist of this old pain. And I feel like you have been struggling with this a lot this year. I think that every time you get into a place where things are shifting, I know that there's been some big changes from the last readings, but then I think you stabilize yourself, you figure it out, you're good at doing that. But then as soon as things start to get okay, this other stuff starts showing up again. And I think it's just been really difficult for you to figure out how to deal with these things in your life. You know, I feel like you definitely can't talk to your parent about this. They maybe are not here. Maybe they're just, you know, way older now. You just feel like it would stress them out. Maybe they're not receptive to any kind of, you know, critiquing, or, you know, they become like a victim if you bring up anything that you feel like they maybe, you know, did poorly or hurt you or whatever. And that's painful for you, because I think there's really this feeling of not getting a lot of closure. Now, on the other hand, I also feel like it's almost like this kind of this terrible gray area to be in, where you feel like maybe this isn't as bad as most people have had it, so you don't really want to complain about it, but it is something that is very painful for you. While you do know of other people who have had way worse stories, you know, this was your own thing, your own story, and that was very hard. Of course, you know, everything is relative. And you know, we often do, we just compare ourselves. So, you know, well, it was bad, but it could have been worse. Right. But I don't, you know, that's helpful to some degree, but not ultimately when you're trying to process some of this stuff. Right. And I think this is where we get into that healing the inner child work, you know, coming to the aid of that inner child. This really doesn't have a lot to do with what I'm saying right now, but there's a cat face right here. It's got a nose and it's little, it looks kind of serene. So I just feel like, you know, this is a thing that you're going to be dealing with. I mean, it just is something that is going to stick with you. But I think that you have made a lot of progress towards, even if it's not forgiveness or a deep understanding for how you were raised, or anyways, the dynamic in the home. I do think that the more, I mean, you shouldn't be doing this all the time, of course. We shouldn't focus on like the painful stuff all the time. But I do think when it comes up and you do confront it, you face it, and, you know, you kind of you let yourself kind of explore it a little bit. And side note, if you have access to therapy, counseling, a support group, please utilize those kinds of tools and supports. You know, I know this is like a fortune telling divination channel, but I'm a really, really big supporter of therapy, 100%. So, you know, I think that when you are dealing with these kind of deeper core issues, things that can be destabilizing, you know, having a support system. And if you don't have access to those things, you know, please have a support system of some kind, even if it's one person you barely know, but you feel like you can check in with them. The other thing, and I bring this up whenever we talk about, you know, the difficult stuff is, and I learned this from being in recovery, in rehab, being, you know, I have had mental health issues as well, being in the hospital. There are things called crisis plans, and you can look for a template online. It is just kind of a thing that you fill out for yourself. So if you were to go into kind of some kind of mental health episode, or feeling like, you know, you are in crisis, you can't think through exactly what you want, what you need to do, who you need to contact, it's all written out for you. Okay, so you figure out like who are the people you need to contact, who are your safe people, you know, where if you happen to need to go into like a hospital, or, you know, needed to seek some kind of support, who would you call, where are your doctor's numbers, you know, this kind of thing. So I think everybody should have these, you know, just like you would like a, you know, a directive, or like a will, or whatever. We should also have crisis plans for ourselves, because you never know, you know, you have no idea what could happen in life. If, you know, some accident, some terrible thing, you know, we all react differently. So it's useful to have that stuff kind of already put together. Now, I think, you know, as you are really working through this stuff, I feel like you're getting more comfortable with facing it. And the cat, I do think that, you know, you have a disposition, not unlike a cat, in that you kind of just go off and deal with your stuff. You don't want people involved all the time. You don't necessarily like to confide in others directly about these kinds of things. And that's okay, right? But I think that, you know, having that extra support if you need it is important. I also think that as you are going through these, you know, processes, you are just feeling stronger and more yourself. I feel like you are getting a lot of insights about the world. I think that this helps you connect to people in a different way. I think that you look at people as, you know, more as like human beings. Hopefully your parents as well, you know, and although you don't have to forgive, just having a deeper understanding that, hey, most people don't know what they're doing, you know, and some people are just not good at life. Some people aren't good at parenting. Some people, you know, totally suck at interpersonal relationships. sometimes we get we draw the short stick, and we end up with parents who don't know how to be parents. They barely know how to be people, probably, and so, I think that all of this is there's a lot of freedom in that. Okay. And that's partially why I see you kind of, on this journey, moving, getting into, just getting out there into the world, mixing your creativity with your dreams and passions and spirituality, and maybe sometimes it's a bit surreal and strange and absurd and funny and frightening, but I think that's like where you really excel. You're not, I don't feel like, I've never met a Scorpio that I feel like is supposed to have a conventional life. At least not a conventional interior life, whatever that would mean. But I feel like even, outwardly, a lot of Scorpios just are very individualistic people. Just kind of do what they do, into their passions, continue down those roads, and, are often kind of these pillars in their smaller subcultures and communities and families, because they are so much themselves. Okay. And now here I see we're looking at, I think it's a little sheep. I'm looking at this little sheep. I'm looking at this little lobster right here. And here a sense of just finding this is in the spiritual and emotional zone, some rest, contemplation, again, breaking away from your routine, letting yourself kind of travel into these odd places, taking your time with that, coming back with some really interesting insights and excuse me, and material for your creative endeavors. And then with the lobster, brilliance, right? Brilliant, classy, a beautifully put together being. Definitely has that hard shell, quite watery, right? But there is a sense of refinement that is not seen in very many other animals. So I think it's, you just have everything just so for yourself, right? You are just so skilled at kind of creating maybe an aesthetic or, the atmosphere that you are in, that other people come into. You have quite an energy, a very palpable aura, and you're keenly aware of all of these things, and you take great effort to kind of, weave them together. And so, I think this is just another regular old cycle for Scorpio, working through some stuff, getting a little dark, getting back out into the sun, enjoying the beauty, lamenting some things, being a little nostalgic, letting your mind wander, and then making some beautiful whatever it is that you do, crafts or artwork or music or whatever, food. All right, let's see. What do we have here? So we have like a little puppy, and then it looks like an acorn. So I feel like you also in all of this have somebody who has been very loyal and dedicated to you. I think a friend probably. And I feel like they have, you know, some kind of, they always have like a grounding thing to say. I think of the acorn as like a little treasure, falls from the sky, hits the ground. Maybe sometimes it clunks you on the head, but I think it's kind of like, you know, when you're getting a little bit too spirally or, you know, a little ramped up, this is the person that has something to remind you of yourself, okay? And so, I think, you know, if you do start feeling a little more blue than usual, that this is a person that you can definitely rely on. And I think you know who they are, because they're probably your like BFF. All right, let's see what we have here. So this is the water blessing affirmation cards. And I'm going to go ahead and pull one of these affirmation cards like I have been the last couple of readings. Last time we did the air ones. Those are like the indigo sage. These are the water ones. And next week we'll do the earth cards. I'm a Virgo, so I always look forward to the earthy things. Okay. All right. So we have this being kind of in a fetal position, and in this, it looks like a waterfall, water kind of falling down around them. And it says, rebirth, enliven. You are destined to initiate divine celebrations for healing joy. Which, there we go. I think that this is very much in line with what we were talking about. You know, the healing processes that we go through, it's so strange how such a little part of your life, but it's like the foundation, right? So many things happen in that time that kind of really set us on the path for who we might become. But really a lot of how we experience the world, our worldviews, where our emotional, what are they called? Pathways or whatever. All of that stuff really starts to happen when you're very young, between 1 and 5 years old. So we spend a lot of time trying to kind of figure out how to heal a lot of the things that happen in our lives. As a young, vulnerable, you have no control of anything really. You just rely on people, and, you know, hopefully they treat you well and take care of you and foster, you know, your emotional growth, your you know, intellectual growth, and so on. And, you know, that doesn't always happen. Or it does, but, you know, as life is, things happen that are very traumatic, and it's out of anybody's control. So, you know, we have to be really soft with ourselves as we go through these kind of root problems or conditionings, coping mechanisms. And that rebirth process is not easy, but it is something that is worthy, right? And so, you know, as we go through this, I think every time we process more and more and more, there are deeper moments of joy and contentment, kind of really our heart being a little bit lighter each time, which is quite a blessing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps us get into the algorithm, and the algorithm really just decides like how well each video is going to do. If you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. And if you want to leave a comment, please do. I read every single one of them, and it might take me a day or two to reply back. but I reply to each one. So that's why it takes a little longer. Other than that, nope, that was the last thing. Yeah, we will talk. Oh my goodness. Isn't the end of the day yet? We will talk in just a few days, Scorpio. All right.